So I promised you to make a video about what foreigners hate about living in China. That's what we're going to talk about today. The winter finally came to China, and it's absolutely miserable here. Right now it is 3 degrees, and it means that I am like dying here. I really miss winters in Russia. -30, -40, but it completely feels different. During the winter time I only have a couple of friends. This is the friend number one. That's an electrical blanket that keeps me alive. And one more is this guy. That's an electrical heater that stands on the balcony and dries our clothes right now. We also have one more electrical blanket, but it's in the bedroom. And that electrical blanket in the bedroom is a lifesaver for us. But you see, because of that one, it's really hard to leave the bed. Basically here in the south of China they don't have central heating because most of the year it's like really warm and nice, but in the peak of the winter season it's like -2, -3, and the cold is everywhere. You cannot run away from it. Even Chinese people call it the magical cold because it gets into your bones. Alright, so this video, just like I promised, will be about what foreigners hate in China, what foreigners hate about living in China. Yeah, probably this video will bring some controversy to my channel. Maybe not a good one, but we will see. Yeah, and the first thing, personally for me, is the southern winter. That's what I hate. You see, because in Russia, why is it easier to bear winter in Russia? Because in Russia, when it's -30, -40, we always have the central heating. So basically, when you're at home, it is always nice and warm, and you just, I don't know, you come home and you chill, relax, everything is cozy and comfortable. But when you go out, it's super cold, but you go out just for like 10 and 15 minutes, and other time you sit at work or sit at home, and there's always central heating. And so yeah, but here you just cannot run away from the cold. Oh, and by the way, why am I wearing this stuff? It's not because I really love Tom and Jerry or fluffy clothing. It's just because I think it's in the morning. It's just the only way to get out of the bed in such weather. And why do I whisper? That's basically because my wife is still sleeping on that big and nice electrical blanket. And now I'm gonna finish my coffee and go to work. And I'll shoot my videos probably somewhere during the breaks or after work. So yeah, we will see how it goes. Alright guys, so I told you that today we're gonna discuss what foreigners hate about living in China. And you see, after several years of living in China and using public transport, using different like apps, Wi-Fi, technologies, like infrastructure and so on, I think it's fair to say that most of the foreigners develop this deep hate towards the fact that they don't have these things in their own countries. I know many people that kind of love their countries. They have so many friends, they have relatives, family. But here in China it becomes just so easy, so convenient, that they want to go back, and after they come back they just start to have this itching feeling that something is wrong, something is missing. And when they go shopping or when they go to like public transport and so on, they kind of start to have these flashbacks of China. Yeah, okay, let me know in the comment section if you were a foreigner who lived in China and experienced something like this. And yeah, you of course may say that, come on Max, are you gonna stop just like praising China and say something real feelings? There should be something that foreigners dislike or hate. Well, of course, like in any other country, there are things that people like, there are things that people don't like, and Actually, before I go on, I must tell you that I think most of the things that people don't like about living here in China comes from the mentality, because you see, like Western and Eastern mentalities are quite different. The way people think, the way people behave and react to different situations is kind of different. So yeah, and I think that brings a lot of frustration to many foreigners, because they expect people to behave in a certain way, but they don't do it. They behave in another way, and the foreigner kind of cannot get it. Why is it like this? Why they think the different way? What's wrong with them? So yeah, I think that many problems come from this. But actually, this also happened with me a lot in my first couple of years. I was kind of struggling to open to something new, open to Chinese mentality. I couldn't get many things like queuing, lots of people everywhere, loud eating, loud speaking, staring. Yeah, there were things that I thought, oh, that's so annoying, god damn. But actually, slowly you start to live here, you start to talk with people more because you develop the language, and you kind of start to get where are the roots of these differences between you and me. For example, you start to understand the cultural background, that, for example, loudly chewing and eating is their way to show like the admiration of the food and the admiration to the chef. Maybe for a Western person that would look like something impolite, but for them it's a good thing. This is the way that you show that you really appreciate your meal. And you see, there are many these small things that kind of make the difference. And once you start to understand them, I think most of the problems of like caused by different mentalities go away. You just need to try to open yourself, open your mind to something new, and it will enrich your experience and enrich your understanding of the world dramatically, I would say. Yeah, so you should definitely try. Whew, that was a long day, and I'm already on the way back home from work. As you can see, it's already dark here in Kunming. So, what I was talking about, yeah, some things that foreigners may hate or dislike in China. And actually there is one thing that comes to my mind many foreigners were complaining about, and some of them really hated it, is the restrictions regarding the internet and some media like books, or movies, TV shows, and so on, so on. So, what am I talking about? Of course, the Chinese is famous for its firewall, the great firewall that many websites like Google, Instagram, and so on, are blocked, are not available here. Everybody knows that. And many foreigners, when they come here, they suddenly realize that it is really blocked. You cannot use them. And that many movies are forbidden, as well as books, as well as TV shows, and you basically cannot watch them or cannot use them. And they start to complain. They start to complain a lot about it. But you see, in my opinion, in my honest opinion, instead of complaining, you can just try to embrace another culture. You can try to embrace the life the local people live here. Like, try to use their social media, try to use their internet, try to use their online streaming platforms and social media. And you see, I think that the life that China will be opened for you from a totally new angle. you will start to get deeper into the culture, into their mentality, because there are actually so many hidden gems in Chinese cinema, in Chinese literature, in their video games. And once you dive deeper into the Chinese internet, it's like it has this really unknown depth. And for many foreigners, that's actually pretty interesting and attractive, because it's so much not the same with the Western internet space, I would say. It really helps to understand the modern Chinese culture, because the internet is heart of the ancient town of Guangdu, here in Kunming. All right, now let's talk about a thing that many foreigners hate or dislike about living in China, and it is the language barrier. You know, just like many people absolutely love Chinese language, and yeah, I actually have this point in my previous video. That's one of the things many foreigners really love here in China. But some people also really hate it. Why? There are several reasons. First of all, because it's hard. It is hard, and there are really not that many words taken from English language that foreigners can just relate to. For example, there are many videos about foreigners living in Japan and saying that you can actually go around Japan without speaking Japanese language, because there are so many words that were taken from English language into Japanese language, so it's really to get around. In China, that's not really a thing. I suppose even if you try to listen very hard, you will not be able just to catch up different phrases that might be taken from other languages. So yeah, that's one thing. And another thing is that that's a tonal language, you know, and there are not so many languages in the world that are tonal, and it's really hard for foreigners whose mother tongue is not tonal to understand and start to feel the tones. But you see, the most annoying part for many foreigners about Chinese language is that there is actually no such thing as like one Chinese language. There are so many different dialects. There is like a regular dialect, the Putonghua, the Mandarin, and then there are many dialects of different provinces, different cities. And so a person may spend 5 or 10 years learning the Mandarin dialect, then to find out that he moves to another province and he needs to learn it from scratch. Well, not absolutely from the scratch, okay, but there are some dialects that sound absolutely different from Mandarin. And yeah, that's one of the things that some foreigners hate. But don't get me wrong, people don't hate the language itself. People hate the complexity of the language, because many of my friends, they love the culture, they love history, they love Chinese dramas, the TV series, but they really struggle to appreciate it to the level they want because of the language barrier. Yeah. Another thing that many foreigners dislike in China, some people maybe even hate, is the amount of people on streets, is how crowded China is. But you see, so basically anywhere you go, during the day, like in the middle of the day, there will be, I would say, plenty of people. Not everywhere, in suburbs and some like small streets, yeah, there will be probably quite empty. But on main streets, in malls, it's crowded almost all the time. But it gets the most crowded during the holidays or like peak seasons, especially if you work for a Chinese company and you only have days off during some Chinese national festivals where all people have days off at the same time, and you plan to go to Beijing or Xi'an to take a look at the Terracotta Army. You should be ready. You should be ready that there will be like enormous amount of people. But that's just something you need to get used to. And you see, this is the result of some things that foreigners love here in China. So foreigners love traveling and the infrastructure, and because of the great infrastructure and so many traveling possibilities, there are so many people who can afford it and who really love to travel here. I'm talking about Chinese people who enjoy domestic traveling, so they all gather together and they don't have that many days off. Most of the Chinese people, I think, they don't have that many days of annual leave, not like in other countries. Like in Russia, we have 1 month of annual leave. In China, they have around 10 days, I suppose. And of course, they want to use these 10 days as productive as they can. So when they have a chance, they gather together and they go traveling. So yeah, this thing in China, you just need to get used to. And at some moment when I started traveling around and I noticed that there are some places that are kind of empty, I started to feel that something's missing. I kind of miss the crowded vibe. It's like not the same. When it's like crowded and there's music everywhere, lots of people are like talking, smiling, laughing, it kind of gives you the right mood, in my opinion. But for some people, that's a problem. And of course, different cultural norms, I would say. There are foreigners who are complaining a lot about this, and if you go to the bar, they will just keep talking about it, how they are annoyed by this. And what I'm talking about, of course, loud speaking. I'm talking about spitting, and these sounds that you can hear in every city. This. Well, it is here. That would be stupid to say that it is not. It doesn't exist in China. So it exists, but let's see. Really, anywhere you go, you can hear these sounds. You can encounter many people like speeding, loudly talking, and so on. But you see, talking about the speeding thing, I know many young Chinese. I have a lot of friends here, and they don't like it. They don't like it themselves. And most of the people, and most of the people, who are like speeding on streets, they are older generation, like older people. And most of the young people that I know, they don't like it. And they kind of try to get rid of this habit. And I think that this habit will slowly die out in Chinese society. It will become outdated and nobody's going to do it anymore. But that's just my opinion. And one more thing is actually that I personally dislike the most, I would say. And you can try to guess what is it? All right, it's smoking. I'm not a smoker. I've never smoked, and I don't really like when someone is smoking next to me. But you see, and like I'm from Russia. In Russia, the laws are pretty strict about smoking. If you smoke at the bus stop, you will get fined. If you smoke in the building, you will get fined. If you smoke next to a playground, you will be fined. Well, here in China, sometimes it looks like just everyone is smoking. I know that it's not true, but you can often see people smoking in malls, people smoking in elevators, and so on. So that's a big thing. I kind of, in my first years in China, I tried to tell people, you cannot smoke here, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. But I found out that it was a completely dumb idea. First of all, I'm a foreigner. Who am I to explain how people should behave? Another thing is that I actually noticed that this is also one of the traditions that is dying out. So, first of all, most of the people who are smoking indoors and smoking in malls, for example, are older generations, so kind of like old people. And most of the young people, I think they're getting rid of this habit. So there is a lot of healthcare and healthy lifestyle propaganda happening, and I think that it works because most of the young people I know, they, even if they smoke, they try not to do it in public areas, they try not to do it in closed spaces, so they become more aware of this. So I also think that it slowly changes here. So yeah guys, that's all I wanted to say about this topic, and let me know what you think about all of this. Are there any things that you dislike about living in China or maybe in some other country? And yeah, let me know in the comment section below. But you know, even if when I talk about some things that maybe I don't like or some other people dislike here in China, it's just a drop in the ocean of love that most of the people start to have when they get here. Yeah, so thank you everybody. Like, subscribe, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.